Okay, so after my last review of the most overrated horror film in the Halloween franchise, Halloween 4, I got a lot of people saying, why do you have to insult people? Why do you take it so seriously? Why do you have to offend people? Well, the whole reason I started doing these videos was I would watch people say they were going to give an honest review, and then every other line I had to listen to, I hope that didn't offend anybody. Hopefully this won't offend anybody. I don't want to upset anybody. Well, that's not an honest review. It's a pussified review. It's an edited review done to make the most money. I'm not doing that. I have a fucking job. If you want a review from someone who's been there from the very beginning, I seen the original in 1978 in a theater when I was 7. So I've seen all these movies as they came out in the theater and seen the real reaction. Not the rewritten history that people like to do now, like the people who like to rewrite the history of H3. H3 was a fucking bomb. It's a terrible, boring movie that should never have been called Halloween. There were people literally throwing shit at the screen. People got up and left. Other people even asked for their goddamn money back because back then you didn't have a million trailers in the internet. They made it seem like this was a Halloween movie, a Michael Myers movie, because it was the only way that piece of shit movie was going to make any money. Fucking Stonehenge turning your fucking head into snakes and bugs. Yeah, that's a great Halloween movie. So, listen, I'm not going to do this shit where I don't try to offend anybody. It's a fool's errand. People are offended by fucking pronouns today, or people wearing a red hat. And here's another thing. If you want to know if someone's just doing this shit for the money, ask them who they voted for. They won't tell you because they might lose a few, 85 cents at the end of the month. I'm not doing it. So let's get on with what is, without a doubt, the best all-around sequel, and it's not even close, 2018.
Smith's Grove, rehabilitation facility.
We're here today to interview a patient that spent the last 40 years in captivity, and by all accounts has not uttered a word.
He's been seen by over 50 clinical psychiatrists, and with each many different opinions. Dr. Loomis was the only one to see him in the wild, and he concluded he was nothing more than pure evil.
Now, usually I can tell within 10 or 15 minutes of one of the Halloween movies if the writer or the director knows or cares about the franchise, and this movie was no exception. This, in my opinion, is the best opening scene in the franchise. This gets across what we need to know about Michael and Michael's life. We see the beginning of the reporter's naive views and some of Dr. Sartain's obsessive views. We hear that Michael has been seen by 50 doctors, and they all have different opinions on what's wrong with him or what he suffers from. And, it's pretty much just like today, where science is complete bullshit. What they should have done is put that one doctor/scientist who's killed more people than Michael, Jason, Freddy, all of them combined. They should have put Dr. Fauci in that room with Michael.
You feel it, don't you, Michael? You feel the mask. Say something, Michael. Say something. You can feel it, can't you? It's a part of you, Michael. It's a part of you. Say something. Say something, Michael.
Now we move on to the yard where you hear Sartain say Michael can speak. He just chooses not to, which means Michael has basically given into the evil and just let this go for his whole life. He's devoted his whole life to the evil that is inside him. And here's where I knew the writers understand Michael better than almost all the other people that have made these films, except for John Carpenter. When Aaron takes out the mask and tries to get Michael to speak, by basically antagonizing him. The whole yard starts to get upset. The dog knows there's something wrong. And then little by little, all the other patients know and feel the evil waking up inside of Michael. They're all trying to get away, do whatever they can to just get the hell away from him. The dog's freaking out because everybody knows there's something wrong. Now, I've heard plenty of people say they wanted Michael to do this, or Michael could have done that. And if they did that, that would have said they do not understand Michael. Michael did exactly what John Carpenter said he should and what Dr. Loomis always said he does. He does absolutely nothing. He stands there perfectly silent and still, just basically making a slight peek back when the mask is first taken out. And we get to see, the dead eye that he would have had for every movie after the first one. But, all those movies were just too goddamn lazy to put it in. And the other rant that I love to hear is, Michael's an old bald man now. What the hell is scary about that? This is undoubtedly the morons speaking again. The people who ate paint chips for the first few years of their lives. So now Michael's just a basic human being. Nothing different about him at all. He grows old, so, he's not that effective anymore. How fucking stupid do you have to be to watch all these Halloween movies and still think that? And two, if you put a picture up of Nick Castle in 1978 and put it up beside a picture of James Jude Courtney right now, James Jude Courtney would beat the ever-loving fuck out of the 18 or 20-year-old Nick Castle at whatever age James Jude Courtney is right now. This is beyond laughable. Because he's a little older, he can't do anything? The guy's pure fucking evil, you fucking morons. What the hell are you talking about?
I believe there's a lot to learn from the horrors you experienced.
There's nothing to learn. There are no new insights or discoveries.
Now we move on to Laurie's life, and we see that Michael has left her with really bad PTSD, but she's turned herself into a survivor. Now this is when some of the idiotic nitpicks started to get out of hand, saying, this is absurd. Laurie would never be like this just from the 78 movie. Now remember, these assholes who like to piss and moan about the new movies, they consider themselves not only a psychiatrist, but they're also Tarantino-like writers and Stanley Kubrick-like directors. They know it all. They know everything. Saying just the 78 film wouldn't cause these problems is fucking laughable. So, okay, doctor, how many people do you know have spent a Halloween night as a teenager when a mental patient breaks out, follows you around all day, then kills your friends, sets them up in a deranged haunted house where you go walking through and see it all, then you stab him in the neck, you stab him in the eye, then you stab him in the stomach, and he gets back up. Then you see his doctor shoot him 6 times at close range, fall 2 stories, and the guy doesn't die. Yes, lots of people have had this happen to them, right, doctor? This is so fucking ridiculous. These people, these are always the quasi-intellectuals, the smartest people on the short bus. It's not just the 78 incident that's done this to her. It's all her failures in life. She's put them all on Michael. It just built and built and built. You also get to see just how naive these reporters really are, calling Michael a human being that stabbed his sister. They have no idea what they're dealing with. But thank God Laurie has to set them straight a little bit here. She says, Michael Myers killed 5 people, but he's a human being we need to understand? And yes, to some people in the country, that's exactly what it is. The criminals never do anything wrong. It's never their fault. It's always somebody else's fault. And then Laurie chimes in, I'm a twice divorced, failed mother, and in her own words, a basket case. This is the effect Michael has on people. Anybody who spends any time around Michael has their life totally changed, and it is never for the better. You think Loomis was always the way he was when you see him in the 78 film? I don't think so. I don't think he ever acted like that with any other patients, ever. Laurie's life completely destroyed, and as we'll see later on, Sartain, his mind completely warped, because if you spend hours upon hours into years and years sitting in a room with pure evil, it will change you. Just like if you sat year after year with like Chinese monks, most likely you'd probably become a better person. But Michael is the opposite. So if you hang around him long enough, it's going to affect you. Whether you think so or not, doesn't really matter. It will affect you. Now we get to move on to Laurie's family, who pretty much have nothing to do with her, except her granddaughter still tries to reach out to her, and I think still really loves her. The movie's moving along really well when all of a sudden, holy shit, stop the fucking movie. Fuck it, cancel the whole goddamn franchise. Did you hear that joke? What the fuck? A bad joke in a fucking Halloween movie? I can't take it. I'm out. That's it. That's the end of the franchise. I'm throwing all my masks away. This is the fucking end. I can't take it anymore. There has never been a bad joke in a Halloween film. Oh, except in the 1978 film when they made a joke about tearing off the clothes of a 8-year-old girl. Oof, yeah. Ooh, that wasn't good at all, was it? But no one ever says anything about that for some reason. They only bring up the joke in this movie. Because, you know, a bad joke in Act 1 of a horror movie, yeah, that should definitely cancel out the whole fucking film. If this is something you hang in your hat on about a complaint or nitpick, please, just shut the fuck up. I'm sure that the school you went to, you know, when you thought that the year 5 was the last year you had to go to school, they'll take you back. You can do a Billy Madison and go back and maybe make it through the 8th grade if you really apply yourself. This is fucking ridiculous. It's a 2-second fucking scene with a bad dad joke. All it's showing is a family. And people have brought this up over and over and over again. Like the writing in all the old movies was just so full of wit that fucking none of this has ever happened. I could put endless amounts of shitty jokes, shitty writing from all those old schlocky films. I just don't have the fucking time to do it or the patience to watch that shit. I mean, let's be honest. If you really just want 6 hours of just straight bad jokes, just watch the fucking Thorn trilogy. Those 3 movies together are just one long, really bad joke.
Do you wish to give a statement regarding your former patient, Michael Myers?
My suggestion is termination. Death is the only solution for Michael. There's nothing to be gained from keeping evil alive. I felt him sinking without him, read him, unconscious. I'll go with him to make sure his life is extinguished. I'm here on his chest to hear for myself that his vitals no longer function and immediately incinerate the body.
I'll be by your side.
Okay, in that scene, which isn't very long, there is so much going on in that one scene. Watching Laurie outside, now, I'm not a big fan of, Laurie Strode or Jamie Lee Curtis in these movies, but she is great in this film. Watching her breaking down, because when that bus starts leaving, she knows Michael is gone, he's not coming back, and she has thrown away her whole life. She's watching her whole life literally drive away from her. But some of the other great things going on, you have Loomis not only calling for the death penalty, but telling them how to do it, and that he wants to be standing right there to not only make sure Michael's dead, but he's incinerated afterwards. And if you watch on the scene where the guards go to open up Michael's door, and this is just a small thing, but it's great, Michael is standing, staring at the wall, just like Loomis used to say he did as a child. Whoever wrote that, that's fucking brilliant. They could have had anything happen while he's opening the cell, sitting down, laying there, whatever. But no, he's staring at the wall. That's how you know these people knew the character of Michael Myers and what John Carpenter was trying to get through. The other thing is, they don't really tell you how Michael broke out of that bus. People always think it was just Sartain helped him. But if you see where Sartain sits, he's in front of the cage where the patients are. That cage will be locked where the prisoners are. There's no way for him to get back there, and the guards aren't going to let him go back there. Now, I don't know what happened. Maybe he did somehow get back there, but from what they're showing, it looks more like Michael just broke out of the cuffs on his own. But it's good that they keep it vague like that. That scene, to me, is fucking brilliant.
Can't any longer. And we're just celebrating our daughter.
Yes, I know. How did it go? Yes, it looks good on you. You know, I was in the Honor Society too.
Why don't you sit down, Mom?
No, good.
Yeah, exactly why we don't reach out. Mom,
I'm sorry.
press the reset button. Why don't you just start over, okay? All right, Mom.
Sorry.
Okay, in those scenes, at the very beginning, you get to see a little bit of the 78 Jamie Lee Curtis when she's talking to her granddaughter about being in the Honor Society. You get to, just for a few seconds, go back and see the optimistic, fun-loving, good girl that we've seen in the 78 film. But that quickly changes. And I'm not a warm, fuzzy person, but this is the only time I have ever felt bad for a person in a slasher movie. Jamie Lee Curtis is great at this table scene. She grabs a drink, not only because she has bad PTSD, is probably very rarely out amongst a bunch of people, and has probably anxiety through the roof, but it's also the day before Halloween. So her acting like this should not be a shock to anybody. And her so-called therapist daughter treating her like absolute garbage when she knows what she's probably going through right now. You see, this is why Laurie is the way she is. Michael's not the crazy person. They don't even know if Michael is a person, I don't think. Laurie's the crazy person. This is all Laurie's fault in their mind. And thank God for the granddaughter to go out and see if she's okay, because her own daughter didn't give a shit. And I don't care if she thinks she got raised wrong. She wasn't really abused. She was taught how to defend herself. And holy shit, boy, does that come into play later on in the film.
Wait here. I'll go get my dad.
Now, this escape scene is shot fucking beautifully. This is what real cinematography looks like, not the crap we got for the last 40 goddamn years. And it shows Michael having the balls, not like the Michael in H4 and H5 who was a sackless jackass fucking comedy routine. Michael snaps the neck of a child. Now, I don't want to watch a whole movie of someone killing kids. That's why I'm not a Nightmare on Elm Street fan. I don't know. I can't get behind cheering for a fucking pedophile. And anybody that ever came up to me and said, I love Nightmare on Elm Street and that new movie, Black Phone, I'd make damn sure they were never near my kids. Yeah, I just can't get behind that shit. But if Michael is pure evil, he's going to kill a kid if he needs to get through that kid to get something. He needs a car, he kills the kid. And it also sets you up for a scene later on. And it also makes you think, Jesus, is he just going to kill everybody in sight? You have no idea what to expect from this Michael, because for so long we got just this watered down, pussified version of Michael. H4, H5, H2O had the biggest pussy of them all. That guy was a complete fucking jackass. But this Michael is fucking scary.
Take a look at this list. Most of them minor offenders, mental patients. One stuck out. 82201. It's Michael Myers. Babysitter murders. 1978. 40 years to this day.
Yeah, so let's take a look at that list. Maybe we can mail it to the fucking idiots that wrote Halloween 4. You see the name? Michael A. Myers. His middle name is Audrey. But in Halloween 4, it was Michael M. Myers. What the fuck is his middle name in that one? This just shows Halloween 4. Those people who wrote it and directed it knew nothing about and didn't give a fuck about the franchise. Now we finally have Michael completely broken out, and this is how you build tension. All H4 did to build tension was remove Jamie Lee Curtis and drop a small child in, a child that was in absolutely no danger. This is how you build tension. Michael just doesn't walk in there and just start banging through all the doors and everything. He slowly does this to cause more and more fear in the person, and of course, being the showman that he is, he has to make it rain down bloody teeth. Now, remember in H2O, that bathroom scene where, I don't know, I thought Michael was a mass murderer, not a fucking car thief. He walks in and, kills nobody, just steals a car. Fucking absolutely fucking ridiculous. What a pussy that Myers was. But this also starts something that goes on into Halloween Kills that I just noticed watching this again. Michael almost killing one person, throwing them aside and making them watch the person that they love die right in front of them. And if you ever wondered whether Aaron died or not, in the book he does die. And without a doubt, the beating Michael puts on that guy is the most realistic violence in any of the Halloween films. Because Michael has no weapon, he does it with his hands. And that is what real violence looks like. Not the nonsense you see in a lot of these films. That is fucking real violence. And to watch him use his head as a battering ram was fucking great. See, now that's how you show Michael getting his mask. Something that he really cares about, and it went nice and slow and showed him literally becoming the boogeyman. Now just think back into some of those old schlocky piles of shit the way he got his mask. Yeah, not too good, is it? So in that scene, you get to see again what real camera work, cinematography looks like as they follow Michael. But then when you watch Michael in the house, it's just the little things. Watch the way he drops the hammer to get the knife. He doesn't place it on the counter or anything. It just comes out of his hand. Just complete cold and inhuman. In the earliest scene of killing the little boy, set you up for this scene where he's in a room with a baby. Now, I don't want him to kill a baby. I don't ever want to see any of that shit. But what would have been funny is if Michael picked him up, gave him one of those strange looks, and then just dropped him right back into the crib. I remember the first time I watched this scene and thought it was absolutely incredible. Watching Michael just randomly pick a house, look in the window. You got the great camera work because you can see Michael's face in the window, and then to watch him walk around the house, come in and kill that woman was great. And then to hear the nitpick fucking army, Dave McRae gets on and says, I didn't like that because it shows us the way Michael operates. What? What is Michael, fucking Jigsaw now? The way he operates? Michael wanders in and out of houses and kills people. That's it. What the fuck are you talking about? How he operates. This was a great scene. It was great camera work, and it was a great kill. All the shit that Dave doesn't have in any of his movies where, he plays the shape and Dave's about 5'8", 150 pounds soaking wet. So this was just bitching to bitch. That scene was fucking great.
Is he on a random path, or is he emotionally driven, triggered by something? Perhaps some unheard marching order imprinted on his very being.
Now, this was a scene I liked a lot. I really liked what Satine said there about trying to guess about what makes Michael, what triggers him off to start killing. And these are almost like Loomis-like lines that nobody ever talks about because everybody just hates a later scene with Satine in it.
You ever really liked a girl and you just couldn't have her? I'm sorry, man. I'll piece out of your hair, man. Thank you for.
No, I love the fact that he's sitting there having a normal conversation with Michael and asking him if he's ever, wanted a girl that he couldn't have. And just little note to some people. When white people try to start talking like they're rappers, this is how dumb you sound. Full killing mode, and the one thing that you get to hear here is that fucking impeccable soundtrack that we've gotten in 2018 in Kills. We have not had soundtracks like this since 1978. It's just one more thing that makes these last two sequels light years better than anything since 1978. Period. I just wanted to show this scene for all the people who call Laurie a quote-unquote gun nut. Having 9 or 10 guns does not make you a gun nut. It makes you a fucking American that hasn't given up all their rights to a corrupt government. Tell me, if you lived in Chicago or New York or San Francisco, you think the government's protecting you if someone like Michael breaks into your house? They're not protecting anybody. That's why people are being killed in the thousands. So if you don't believe in guns, or you're going to call her a gun nut for this, no, she's not a gun nut. You're a fucking moron. Just quickly, for all the people who cried about now Michael can't be killed in Halloween Kills, he would have been dead from this if he was just a normal human being, okay? Now, there's the scene that had the most whining from all the people who are supposed to be fans of this franchise. This is the thing that just, threw them all into a pissy diaper. These are still the same people that are constantly saying you need to change things up. Well, they changed something up. Instead of just having a doctor going along being a Loomis clone, you had a doctor who was even crazier than Loomis. Now, could he have done something different? Maybe. Maybe he could have, shot him up with adrenaline to see if that brought him back. Maybe he could have just laid on top of him to make sure the police officer didn't shoot him, wait for the ambulance to come so Michael has time, to come back, wake back up and then just kill everybody there. But, it's a scene. It happened. Doesn't bother me all that much. Everybody who comes in contact with Michael gets all fucked up, and Sartain was the most fucked up out of all of them. And now to show you that, I'm not a hypocrite, and there are things about the new movies that, I will say weren't done right. In this scene, he should never, ever have put on that mask. That I didn't like at all. But it happened. It's a very small scene. The rest of the movie is great, so I'm not going to complain too much about it.
Michael.
No, I love this scene because it shows no matter how good you are to Michael, whether you think you're his best buddy or no matter how much you help him, he doesn't give a fuck. He's going to kill you anyway. Now, once again, we get to see Michael, a showman that he is, making a jack-o'-lantern out of a cop's head. Fucking great. But then, there's a simple thing going on. Watch as he strangles Ray. It's a simple scene, but Michael's head is like bobbing around. Now, if me or you were strangling someone, we'd be completely tense. Our muscles would all be just tensed up to the 19th degree. But Michael is so relaxed doing this that his head is just bobbing around. His muscles are completely relaxed doing this. Now, this has a lot of really good scenes in it because I love watching, even though it's Laurie and she usually doesn't go through this much, watching Michael slamming her head off that door, and then people actually thinking in Halloween Kills that she should be up out of that bed chasing Michael around. What a fucking joke. And then, do you see what happens when Michael gets shot? Yes, there's a thing it's called blood that comes out when he loses his 2 fingers. But somehow, in Halloween 4, when he's being shot with shotguns at close range, it doesn't even tear his clothes. That's how bad of a joke that movie is. Now, that may seem a strange scene to put into this review, but this was one of those things where I watched a guy literally doing a video from his trailer, and they sat there for a good 30 minutes arguing about why the mannequins would frighten Allison. And that's when I just said to myself, not only has God abandoned us, but the American educational system is a complete failure. She's being chased by a guy with a pale white mask. She trips, falls, looks up, and is surrounded by mannequins with pale white faces. And this was just too much for you? The brain couldn't take it in on what might frighten her here? How the fuck do you even grow up past the age of 10 being this fucking dumb? Now, the reason I wanted to show this was this is the difference between this movie and the utterly ridiculous H2O. In H2O, she just seems to get mad at some point, yells Michael's name, runs back into the building, and beats the ever-loving shit out of him. That is fucking absurd. If she ran in headfirst at Michael like that in this movie with this Myers, he probably would have ripped her head clean off. In this one, she's still hunting him, but they show her scared shitless doing it. That's the more realistic way of doing it. You would not go in just running in like you're fucking Rocky Balboa going into the boxing ring against Michael Myers. That's absurd. And here again is another example of why this movie is so superior to fucking H2O. In H2O, she's pilled up and drunk all day with a shitty fucking revolver under her pillow. In this one, when Michael comes out from behind that mannequin and grabs her, the H2O Laurie, she would have nothing to do. She would be no way to fight back. This one, because she's trained, knows to bite him, to gouge his eyes. It's the only way she survives. Again, the H2O Laurie would have been fucking torn apart by this Myers. Thank God the Myers in the H2O was, one of the biggest pussies God ever put on earth.
I can't do it! Gotcha.
And once again, all those people crying, turning Laurie into a gun nut and survivalist is dumb. Well, do you think Karen thought that up all on her own? No, that was training from Laurie. So when Michael comes back on how to get him to expose himself. So once again, 2018, much better than H2O.
Trap.
So here you get the final fight scene, and it takes all three of them to get Michael just trapped in the basement. You get to see the great sit-up by Michael, calling back to 78, because, in Halloween 4, we seen him try this, and they couldn't even get that right. Couldn't even get him to do a fucking sit-up properly. Fucking pathetic. But you get to see that without all the training, all those booby traps in the house, and they barely fucking escape with their lives. 3-on-1 with a booby-trapped house. And to watch Michael stand there and stare up at them while he's being engulfed in flames is fucking incredible. That is great writing. Well, the people that have given us Halloween 3, 4, 5, 6, H2O, Resurrection, Rob Zombie's abortions, I wouldn't trust those people to write warning labels on fucking paint cans, okay? This is, without a doubt, the best sequel in the Halloween franchise. And it's not even fucking close. There are 4 good Halloween movies, okay? 78, 81, 2018, and Kills. The rest are mediocre to absolute shit. The only reason people still look back on them fondly is either one of them was the first one they seen in a theater, or it was just the first one they seen before, so they have all this nostalgia for it. I don't mind people saying they like the old films or anything. It doesn't bother me a bit. I watch them, and all of us like bad movies. But what I won't listen to is someone tell me that those movies are actually better than this. They're not. They're not even fucking close. You know why? Because the people who made those movies made them for a couple of reasons. Mostly because of money. Two, to just enhance their career. They didn't give a fuck about this. And you can look it all up. I know it. I've read all the shit on these. The directors knew nothing about these films. They didn't give a fuck about them. They either wanted to make this movie so they could make another movie or just to get their name attached to some sort of franchise. They didn't give a fuck about this. And it shows. This movie is fucking the best sequel we have. Now, I love Halloween Kills, but Kills is more of just a Michael Myers movie watching him go crazy. This is the best all-around Halloween sequel there is. Period.